Going through reps like we've been doing the last several weeks, so that's kind of where we're at with it.
Who you got for offensive captain for this one? Have you decided yet?
Yeah, Ty Clary. Yeah, we came back with Ty.
How's KJ been looking with
Yeah, we've rotated those guys around, and with John Steven getting ones, and KJ was in there yesterday as well, getting some reps, as he has the last several weeks, doing a good job, really good job, just trying to make sure that we just keep him developing and on track when we do decide to play him.
So do you have a package for him if you were to put him in?
Yeah, he's got some things that he's focused on that we can do with him and that he feels comfortable with, and so yes.
I know that you talked about this in your teleconference, but Chase Hayden and the decision to redshirt him this year, can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, we just coming after 4 games and where our running back situation was with Rakeem playing so well and Devois playing really well. Barring any major injuries, we felt like that, and we were both in agreement that see if we couldn't do that and get through the season. We're not through there yet, but that's our plans right now.
What was Chase's attitude?
Incredible. Yeah, he was great with it.
You had no penalties in that Alabama game. Do you recall having that before? And I know there were some negatives in the game, but that was a good one.
Yeah, no, I don't ever recall going through a game without any penalties. That was a shocker.
Hey, outside of last year, this game with Mississippi State in recent years has been competitive, really determined.
Welcome in. It's our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio as we come to you each and every day here live on KDSJ 479. And real quick, want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, Locomotion, Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and KDK's Chicken. And we're going to get right into today's segment of the A as we're going to make our way down to Starkville, Mississippi. We're going to catch up with the Drive at 5's Jake Wimberly. Jake, welcome to OTH, my man.
Pat, I appreciate you having me, man. Thanks for having me on the show. It's going to be a cold, good weekend of football. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk about this. Both teams coming off of losing streaks. I think Mississippi State has lost their previous 4, Arkansas 5 games. Who needs this game more, in your opinion, tomorrow at 3 o'clock in Donald W? Is it Moorhead or is it Coach Morris, or is it, in your opinion, do both of these coaches need it?
I think both need it. You're way more into the program up there. From a distance, it would seem that Chad Morris definitely needs a win. Going into year 2, hasn't gotten an SEC win, but I can tell you down here, Joe Moorhead absolutely needs this win because, Pat, this thing, it has gone south for Mississippi State. This Joe Moorhead experience in year 2, and I don't know if it comes back, but I know that if he loses this weekend, a lot could be in motion in Starkville.
He's coming in with 2 great offensive players in the freshman quarterback, Garrett Schrader, and also Mr. Tyler. Talk about those 2 guys and how important will it be that they get established real early in tomorrow's ball game for them offensively to have a chance to break this very unexpected losing streak.
Yeah, you got to get them off to the fast start, and Mississippi State has not gotten off offensively on fast starts under Joe Moorhead on the road. As a matter of fact, they've only scored, I think it's 9 points in every road, all road games combined under Joe Moorhead. First and second possessions total, 9 points. So they're not scoring the ball, they're not moving the ball, they're not creating first downs, on first and second drives on the road, which has put them in behind or put them in situations where they've gotten behind. So it's important to get Schrader off to a fast start, and he's made some freshman mistakes. he'll make 3 good throws, and then he'll make 2 bad throws. So he's got to cut that down. And as for Kylan Hill, I mean, I think Arkansas probably knows that's where the offense goes through, and he's going to have a big day tomorrow for Mississippi State to have a shot.
How big is it that Stephen Guidry, your big-time wide receiver, gets going as well? I mean, he's been one of the guys, the go-to guys here over the last few years. How big is it that he can give Garrett, that go-to threat when you get into those third downs on Saturday?
Yeah, got to get him going, got to get Osiris Mitchell going. Those two guys are really important to this offense. And you're right. I mean, Guidry, they moved him inside. He'll play a lot of slot, or has played a lot of slot, so it's been a better position for him than playing on the edge. So, I mean, you got to get those guys the balls. It's like any other team. You got to get your playmakers involved. And that's been one of the problems for Joe Moorhead is getting consistency and getting those guys the ball regularly.
When you look at this team defensively versus Arkansas offensively, this is an Arkansas offense that still, from my vantage point, doesn't have it corrected at the quarterback spot. What's been the message for Mississippi State on defense for tomorrow?
Well, got some guys banged up in the secondary, so you're going to have to play young in the secondary. And one of the things that they're not doing that they did last year is get to the quarterback. Got to be able to get to the quarterback on Saturday. If the quarterback for Arkansas, if he has an opportunity to sit back there and throw, he'll have success. So it's going to be that cat and mouse game. Got to get to the quarterback. And then, of course, you got to make plays in the secondary when you have an opportunity. And Mississippi State has not done that either.
When you look at the pulse of this team, I know, with the stress of Coach Moorhead being in the hot seat, maybe, this being a year that if it continues to go south, may have another change. How much do you feel, Jake, in your honest opinion, that's had a big-time effect on this football team during this season and even coming into tomorrow's game? Do you feel like the players are starting to feel some of the pressure?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, Pat, look, you can go all the way back and to the way this team played against Tennessee when they got down to Tennessee. They just kind of you could tell it was a different demeanor, and I don't want to say they quit, but it sure looked like it. Last week against Texas A&M, same thing. Against Auburn on the road, same thing. There's just not a visible leader on this team right now. And you look at this group of players, they play, and this is not a shot at Joe Moorhead or the staff, but they play as soft as a Mississippi State team as I can remember has played. I mean, typically Mississippi State, even under Dan Mullen the last 9 years, prior to Joe Moorhead, if they had a season where they were, flirting with 5-6 wins, they still played tough.
Right.
They still played hard, and this team is not doing that.
Talk about this team health-wise. How is the Mississippi State Bulldog, coming into this game, either on the offensive or defensive side of the ball? Any players out, any young men that were out that might be returning?
A couple guys in the secondary, questionable. A couple guys along the offensive front, but I mean nothing major as far as except for a guy like Tommy Stevens. You don't know how available he'll be. So really, this team is about like any other team this time of year. I mean, you've got your bumps and bruises, but outside of Stevens, nobody that is for sure that will not play tomorrow.
All right, we got about a minute and a half, and we're talking with Jake Wimberly of the Drive at 5 for our listeners and viewers that have just tuned in to our broadcast here On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, our A edition. But real quick, give me your offensive player, defensive player, and the final score in Fayetteville, Arkansas at 3 p.m. versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Well, let me just say this. I have zero confidence in this team right now to go on the road and grab a win, so that ought to tell you which way I'm going to lean as far as the final score. But just because of the way they've played and the way they've looked, it's been a lethargic bunch. But offensively, I mean, obviously it's Kylan Hill. He's got to get going. Defensively, Willie Gay should be back in the lineup coming off of suspension, so he's going to be a big-time player in the middle of that defense. But, Pat, I think, at the end of the day, Chad Morris, we've heard him all week. He sounded confident as he should. He needs a win, and look, he's going to get that win at some point. And I think Arkansas gets their first SEC win under Chad Morris tomorrow. I'm going to say somewhere around the neighborhood of 28-21.
All right, my man. Love having you on. We'll be talking next week. But as always, Jake, thanks for taking time out here on OTH, man.
You got it. Thanks. You have a great weekend.
That was Jake Wimberly of the Drive at 5. Demetrius, he told us what he thinks. He thinks Chad's going to get his first one, man. He's got Chad getting his first one. Unbelievable. What do you think about that?
That's interesting because I had to double take. I started to ask you, did I hear him say Arkansas gonna win the game? But as you know, I'm hoping Arkansas can get that homecoming win. We got a big show with Bankroll Freddie. I want the team to had the city on fire. It's a lot of history being made this week.
Right.
I really want to see some success from the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Well, speaking of history will be made Tuesday night as Arkansas will bring in the new official Eric Musselman era as the Razorbacks are going to kick off their 2019-2020 schedule as they're going to host the Rice Owls in Bud Walton Arena. But we'll let you hear what Coach Muss has to say, and then coming up, let's get into it. You know who we got coming. Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Demgas. Time to talk a little Razorback. This on the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Nikki, you're a Bulls fan? Okay. Yep. Good week of practice so far. Obviously, have a few more days prior to Tuesday's tip where we'll have our home opener. And we'll really start diving into our preparation starting today to go through Rice.
I guess they're playing an exhibition game tonight. I don't know if they played one of those close scrimmages or what, but
They did.
Yeah. Do you know who they played?
We
you get
do.
a bootleg tape of it? Or?
No.
Well, I guess what do you know about these guys?
Adams is really good at the point guard position. He's a lefty, crafty, can make a three ball. Martin, who can play the 4-3. If they wanted to play really small, he could probably play some 5, number 10. They run some isolation stuff for him. They play a little bit in transition. They're really well coached. Scott Parra is a really good coach. They run a lot of screen, rescreen action, so we're going to have to defend pick and rolls really well. Chris Mullen at the off guard spot. Another good player. The nucleus of their team is all returning. They're a scary team because of experience. They had a lot of guys returning off of last year's team.
What do you think your emotion level is going to be? I know there's a few fans of the red-white game and the exhibition games. What do you think Tuesday night's going to be like for you?
It doesn't really matter how I feel. It's how the guys in uniform. I mean, I'll just like every opener, I'll be excited. Obviously, when you're, coaching in front of, our fans, it's a new experience for me. But I've coached enough games where, you walk in and you got to just focus on what happens between the lines, really.
How ready do you think you guys are to open the season?
Great question. Can I tell you at about 9:45 on Tuesday? I think that all, as coaches, all of us would like a little bit more prep time, especially if you're new, to try to get your team ready. Having said that, I'm not the only coach. Probably a whole bunch of us thinking the same thing. We'd like another couple weeks. But I do think our players are ready to play a game. They're ready to get out of this practice mode that we've been in. Because your practice starts changing dramatically once you get into the regular season, for sure. Because you kind of start focusing on prep, on teams that you play. You try to clean up some of the stuff that you get off film. But I think we're about as ready as we could be for trying to implement a new system and stuff. And I think they're tired of hearing me, and so we need to start playing some games for sure.
You guys are responding to some of the overload theory, gloves, weighted vest, stream, that kind of thing.
Guess we probably have to ask them.
Welcome back. It's the A here on the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio on KDSJ 479. And, we always like to talk Arkansas athletics. Says the Arkansas football team will be hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Kickoff will be at 3 p.m. at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. And I'm talking about, I don't know who it's bigger for, Arkansas or Mississippi State. So we thought we'd ask a good buddy that may know a little bit about what Arkansas has to do, Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Scotty B, welcome to the A, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me back. How you guys doing?
I'm doing real good. Don't know how Arkansas is doing if you're Chad Morris and that football program, but maybe you can shed me a little light on it. In your opinion, Scotty, who needs this game more? Mississippi State coming off a 4-game losing streak. Arkansas is in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. But who needs it more in your opinion, Chad or Moorhead?
Yeah, just covering Arkansas, I think we understand the Arkansas situation a little bit better than Mississippi State. like Mississippi State had a pretty good season last year.
Right.
What I remember, they have hit a rough patch, but they've got an SEC win this season. So I think their last win was September 21st against Kentucky. So I mean, it's been a little while since they've had some success, but they've played a few pretty good teams. But
Right.
Arkansas is just. I think this game means more to Chad just because it is a very winnable. I think it's a very winnable conference game, and I feel like if you win this one, you might be able to springboard, into the Western Kentucky game. And I don't think anybody's expecting you to beat LSU, but you can go into the Missouri game too. You just got to show some signs of life, and I think it's obviously. At least in my opinion, I think it's bigger for Chad. He's got to find a way to get punched through in conference play.
Speaking of needing a sense of life in the program, the $1 million question is who's going to be the quarterbacks that will be taking the majority of reps tomorrow? I mean, how important is it? I'm of the belief, Scotty, that you're in a situation. I know you look at Ben and Nick being older guys, but they've not had the success. You've had 4 older guys plus a true freshman here in the last 2 years, and it's not gone quite to the degree you thought it should. So at what point do you, in your opinion, go with John Stephen and then the $1 million question, Mr. KJ Jefferson, because we all heard how bad the fans want to see Mr. Jefferson. Which way should Chad go in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think tomorrow we'll probably see Ben start, and I don't think that's much of a surprise. I would be pretty stunned if John Stephen got the start, but I think you'll see Chad have kind of a quick leash short leash with Ben. If he gets 2 or 3 drives maybe, and if he can't push the ball down the field and put Arkansas in the end zone, it's time to make a move. Like it's coming down to the point where you just can't afford to keep fooling around with options that aren't getting it done. I do expect to see John Stephen probably in the first half at some point, and then I also expect to see KJ probably in the second half. And when KJ takes the field, that'll probably be the loudest the fans have been all season at home. That's kind of what I'm expecting tomorrow. I would be pretty shocked to see Nick Starkel on the field at all tomorrow.
Are you surprised that Hudson Henry, whom Chad let us know on our Wednesday availability with Coach Morris, that you will see Hudson Henry? Also, are you kind of looking and kind of expecting a Monte Spivey, another freshman running back that they've kind of been holding? We've heard each and every week he's getting better, developing. With Chase Hayden going down and deciding to red shirt, is this an opportunity that Chad and them are really – because we saw a little bit of Mr. Spivey get a lot more reps in this week's practice than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see – I think Dudley wrote about it on Tuesday. I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of a youth movement just because, Chad says that they've got some pretty good – those young guys have some pretty good players in front of them. But those older players just – flat out aren't getting it done for the most. Aside from guys like Rakeem, and I think Devwat's had an okay year. He hasn't been great, but Rakeem's been really good. O'Grady's been really good, but I think you got to start bringing Hudson along because O'Grady's done after this year. He's headed to the pros, and right now, aside from him, there are no playmakers in that tight end group.
Nice point.
So you've got to start bringing Hudson along, and it sounds like he's making some progress. I think that concussion he had in fall camp kind of set him back a little bit. But I'll be interested to see in what ways they use him on Saturday, and then getting a Monte Spivey in would be great. Great to see. Chad said he's electric with the ball in his hands on Wednesday, so let's see it. You got to have some more pop out of your running back group, and Rakeem's about the only one bringing that.
As far as defensively, what must this defense do on Saturday? I know Mississippi State's coming in here with a freshman quarterback that's going to be facing Arkansas this Saturday. Talk about how much pressure do you feel, Scotty, that they're going to have to bring to the against this young kid to kind of disrupt their offense?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to have to bring pressure. But the thing about that is Arkansas's also got to stay at home. Like, they've got to be assignment sound because the kid can tuck it and run too.
Right.
I think there's only 2 quarterbacks in the country with 1,000 yards passing and 500 rushing, and he's one of them, and Jalen Hurts is the other. So I mean, that's obviously I'm not comparing the two, but that's an interesting note. You know, he can beat you with his feet. I think I heard Chavis on Monday. He wants Schrader to have to stand in the pocket and deliver passes because I think he's thrown 4 picks in his last 3 games. So he can turn the ball over. He will turn the ball over. They got to pressure him, but they've also got to stay home and not let him beat them with his feet.
A lot was made over how that game ended in Starkville last year with the Bulldogs throwing game-ending touchdown pass and just even adding more salt to an already deep wound from last season. You know, when we talked to the players on Tuesday, they kind of kept it at a minimum. I think the one that really showed that they had a little chip on their shoulder was Mike Woods. Is that the general take that we get? This football team does have a real extra incentive to, take care of the disrespect from last year's ball game heading into Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if getting beat 52-6 isn't motivation enough,
right?
Then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I think Mike had like 3 grabs for 15 yards in last year's game, and this receivers group's got to bring it again. At Alabama, only one guy had 1 catch. That hadn't happened since like 2013.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I think he feels a little bit disrespected, maybe just from, there probably was some jawing going on. I feel like Mississippi State may have run the score up a little bit, but they've got to go. They just got to go in there and play well. And Mike hasn't had a catch in the last 2 games, so it's about time for him to bounce back.
In your opinion, Scotty, I want you to give me your offensive player and your defensive player for tomorrow's 3 p.m. kickoff versus Mississippi State. And then at the end of when all is said and done, what's going to be your final score in tomorrow's ball game, Arkansas, Mississippi State?
Yes, I'm a little bit leery of the quarterback situation, so I'm probably not going to go with a receiver. I'll probably go with Rakeem Boyd, the offensive player of the game. I think he might have another 100-yard game, might get in the end zone once or twice. And then defensively, I think we'll see Cam Curl play.
Good.
Pretty solid game. He's been kind of the highlight in the back end of that defense. And, Joe Fouché, I think, had a pretty good game at Alabama. I think he had 13 tackles, which is probably a career high for him.
Right.
Arkansas is going to need those safeties to play well, and I think Cam plays a pretty good ball game. I got Mississippi State winning 31-21.
All right, my man. Love having you on, man. We'll catch up in the press box tomorrow. But as for now, thanks for taking time out here on OTA, Scotty.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
That was Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. And real quick, I want to bring in Demetrius. Hey, Scotty has old Mississippi State continuing the downslide for the Razorbacks. And Jake had Arkansas to get their first one. So is this one of those games it's up for grabs?
This is what, as the people in Vegas say, this is a pick'em game.
Yeah.
I think it really is a kind of question mark game about who's going to win. And this just shows you the status of each program right now. They're in such a downfall right now. People don't even know, who's going to win this game. And I want to say what? Ole Miss is at the bottom?
Right. I know Arkansas. Yeah. Well, Mississippi State's right above Arkansas.
So this is going to determine who's at the bottom of the
Yeah. The head-to-head matchup is what's going to come down to, because you got to think about it. Mississippi State still has they have to play Alabama next week. Then Abilene Christian, they end up with Ole Miss, so they could possibly end up 1-7, just like Arkansas, but not being the bottom based on the head-to-head matchup.
Exactly. So I think, truth be told, I think it's Arkansas that needs the game.
Man,
I know this isn't our segment where we're talking about it, but I think Arkansas needs it.
Without question, in my opinion. You lost 16 in a row. You hadn't had a winning season in, I believe, 4 years. So without question, Chad Morris to me is in a way better must-get game situation than Joe Moorhead, because, I mean, he inherited one of the nation's elite defenses and fell up on hard times due to so many of the senior graduation there at Mississippi State. But we're going to continue on. We caught up with juniors Chelsea Dungy and Amber Ramirez following their final exhibition game this past Wednesday versus the Oklahoma City Young Ladies NAIA school that I think is going to do quite well. We'll let you hear what those two ladies had to say. And following them, Pig Trail Nation's Alyssa Orange. She'll be joining us. It's the A, and it's on OTH on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit.
Rick Fires, Democrat Gazette. Congratulations. Girl, you was hot tonight. At what point did you know as a man that got the hot hand? Was it pregame shooting? Was it first shot, seventh shot? At what point did you know you had it going tonight?
You know, I had a good pregame warm-up. I actually missed a couple shots at the beginning, but I just kept shooting, and I just took what they gave me, honestly. They gave me a drive, I took it, they went behind the screen, I shot behind it. Just took what they gave me.
All right, let me ask you, hey, 2 exhibition games today, number 22 in the country. I'm assuming you girls are ready to get the season started.
Definitely. Exhibition both teams gave us a good run. We got to practice some things. We got to get some kinks out before the regular season starts. So we're excited to get 22. The program hasn't been there for quite a while. So it means a lot, but at the end of the day, we just have to win the big game.
Okay, good as you were in the first half, I'm thinking, man, they need somebody else to get in there and help. And you certainly did in the second half. Were you constantly thinking about that at halftime or coming out?
The first quarter, I picked up 2 quick fouls and didn't really get to play a whole lot. So that kind of took me on my rhythm a little bit, but I just knew my teammates would have confidence in me to let me keep shooting it, and that's what I did in the second half.
Let me ask both of you. Number 22 in the country. First time they've been ranked, 3-4 years. What's your thoughts on that, being ranked going into the season?
Yeah, I think we earned that from last season. The hard work that we have put in put us in a position to be ranked. And I think that we look at that and we're excited, but just like I was saying earlier, after the games, that's what's going to come down to. We're ranked at the end of the day. Winning games is all that matters.
Anybody else want to see that? Yeah. Very good. Okay, thanks, guys.
Very good. Very good. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's the A edition here on OTH on KDSJ 479. Real quick, want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, Locomotion, Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and KDK's Chicken. But we want to continue on as the Arkansas Razorbacks are preparing to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs here in Fayetteville. Kickoff on the SEC Network, 3 p.m. from Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. And no better person to talk to that's going to continue with the skinny than our good buddy and my sis from Pig Trail Nation and KNWA, Alyssa Orange. AO, welcome back to the A.
Hey, what's going on, Pat? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing real good. I saw a lot of the photos from the very first Halloween with you and the little get a lot of candy.
He did. He got some candy. He wanted to eat it all yesterday, but I let him have a few Kit Kats before I sent him to bed. No, we had a lot of fun. It was cold, man. It was cold. So we probably hit up about 15, 20 houses in a little loop in our neighborhood and came back in. But he's 2, so he was thrilled. He was an airplane and he loved it.
Let's talk about cold. And this is this Arkansas football program. 16 consecutive SEC losses heading into tomorrow's big game. Alyssa, you have Joe Moorhead and Mississippi State coming in. 4-game skid, Arkansas on a 5-game skid. Who needs this game more, AO, in your opinion, Chad or Joe?
Well, if you look at it, depending on the fan base, if you're Arkansas, you definitely need it. If you're Chad Morris and you want to try to protect your job and show some improvement, Mississippi State obviously wants it too, and Joe Moorhead to stop that. But there's also talk about Joe Moorhead not even being at Mississippi State next year, possibly going to Rutgers. So if you want to look at it from a program standpoint, it seems like Joe Moorhead has already got one foot out of the door, kind of a little deciding that maybe Mississippi State's not where he wants to be next year. And so in that regard, it's Chad who's still trying to fight for his job and some credibility at Arkansas.
Unless we come in every week. And, you and I were on the sideline 2 weeks ago as Arkansas hosted Auburn and had the misfortune, I should say, can't call it a privilege, of the fan base exuding their want to see true freshman KJ Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at this, we've asked Chad in multiple weeks about his progression. Is this the week that you want to see the youth movement happen at that position? I know they played John Stephen last week. Is it John Stephen and KJ that, in your opinion, should take the bulk of the reps in tomorrow's ball game?
Well, Chad Morris has made it very clear that they're trying to win a ball game. So I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you KJ Jefferson is not going to get a start. John Stephen Jones might start, but I think you also might see Ben Hicks. Ben Hicks is healthy from that shoulder injury he had against Auburn. And again, he's Chad Morris's guy. So he might start Hicks. Morris is trying to win ball games. And I could go on a rant, and I'm not going to. I'm going to keep my mouth shut one more week. But we'll talk about it next week if you want to give me a platform. But the fact that they haven't played KJ Jefferson and have waited these last 4 games is very irresponsible to me, and I'll tell you why. You can't just assume that these last 4 games you're going to be able to play KJ because, again, Morris is playing to win. So if we have a competitive game on Saturday against Mississippi State, Chad Morris is not going to say, oh, snap, I haven't played KJ yet. Let me throw him in the game, even though it's a 7-point game.
Right.
He's not going to do that because he hasn't put KJ in before when it was a 30-point deficit or 40-point deficit. He's not going to put him in when the game is a 7-point differential. So, unfortunately, as nice as it would be to see KJ in the game, I don't know if we will, and it all is dictated on how the game is going. Now, Morris finally said they were able to put some packages together for KJ to go out there and run, and so maybe we might see KJ go in there and take a snap, but that's not fair. That doesn't show anything to anybody if he runs out there and just takes a snap, runs a play, and then comes off the field. That's not what these redshirt games were for. These redshirt games where you can play for still save a year of eligibility, or for games where they're either out of hand or you're winning pretty handedly, and you can get some guys in there to have repetition and some experience. And I think it's an unfortunate event that we haven't seen KJ yet. We should have seen him in Auburn. I don't think Ben Hicks should have played that whole entire game. We could have seen him against Alabama because he was there. John Stephen Jones did a very good job when he came in and orchestrated and moved that offense. And so I will give him credit for that. He did a very good job. But there wasn't a reason why KJ couldn't have played either. So it'll be interesting to see. I would love it. But I'm not, pro KJ Jefferson. I'm pro all of these kids who are freshmen who should be playing in games when they can, who deserve to play the 4 games that the redshirt rule allows. And they're kind of being at a disservice by this coaching staff, in my opinion, for not allowing that to happen. I mean, look at Amonte Spivey. He's another prime example. Right.
When you look at this, we another guy that's a complete head scratcher. I know not only for myself, multiple media members, as well as yourself, Hudson Henry. Chad came out on Wednesday and said that we will see Hudson Henry. This was a 5-star, the nation's elite tight end coming out of last year's class, having to be a backup behind 2, Grayson Gunner and Chase Harrell, 2 guys that have absolutely, in my opinion, been non-factors outside of C.J. O'Grady. I mean, is that another head scratcher why this young man didn't get to place even earlier in the year with having the ability to affect the passing game?
Absolutely, you can put Hudson Henry in this discussion as well. If you also look at a kid who, again, as you mentioned, 5-star tight end, and he comes from a family of Razorbacks.
Right.
It's not like he's not a very bright student of the game. He comes from a football family, and so putting him out there and give the kid a chance. I really haven't seen anything from Grayson Gunner. I'll cut Chase Harrell a little bit of slack because he did make that transition over.
Right.
And he's got the body to be a tight end, but again, he's only been playing it for a year. So again, it's a head scratcher. And you also want to look at wonder, what Barry Lunny Jr. is thinking. Is Barry saying play Hudson, and Chad says no, or does Barry think that Hudson's not ready? It's very interesting how it's all going to play out. But again, why these kids have not been given the opportunity to take advantage of the redshirt rule and what the redshirt rule provides is disheartening to me. We've got 4 more games, so we're going to see how it plays out. I don't want to be right. I really don't want to be right, but I don't understand the disservice and the reasoning behind a kid who's in redshirt and you only play him 2 times of his 4 times. You've got other schools who are taking advantage of this rule. This rule was created so that kids could get experience because the game is so fast and it's so demanding now in college football that it allows them to get a taste of it and kind of get a grasp of it before they start playing the next year. And it's not, the transfer portal has kind of warped into, well, that's what the redshirt is about. You can only play 4 and then go into the transfer portal. But that's not why this rule was created. The rule was created so that kids don't stand on the sidelines all game or all season.
Right. Talking with Alyssa Orange of the Pig Trail Nation and KNWA here on the A segment of OTH. But I want to kick it over to a program that has come a long way in a short amount of time. And you and I have had the up close and personal to see it, with that being Coach Mike Neighbors and that women's basketball program coming in at number 22, Alyssa. This is something that hadn't been done since 2002. A lot of expectations with this program. We were there on Wednesday night, the final exhibition, and they beat up a team in Oklahoma City. And then I think it's going to be national champs. Talk about, what's the outlook for this program a week from today as they're going to open up the 2019-2020 year?
Well, obviously the women's basketball program has gone really far since Mike Neighbors took over and beat Steve Matthews. Added a lot of pieces that make this team go. The talent is exponentially better than it was a few years ago. But what I was really impressed with was, you saw it too, they didn't come out very hot offensively.
Right.
They were losing and trailing, and Oklahoma City was hanging right there. Even at halftime, I think it was just a 3-point game.
Right.
So the fact that they were able to keep their composure and come out in the second half and win, I think, by double digits, even after having a slow start, was kind of good to see. I don't mean that in a bad way, but, there are going to be games where they're not going to be close, especially when they get in the SEC.
Absolutely.
Now, with that being said, you've got to be a little bit more on point offensively to win in the SEC. I don't think a performance we saw Wednesday is going to get a win in the SEC against some teams. But again, it was the second exhibition game of the season, so you can't really put a whole lot of stock into that. And there's a lot of, again, a new year, new pieces. You've got Michaela Daniels starting. You get a bunch of kids in there like Aaron Bornum. You've got Atiana Golden, who came in off of injury to play a little minute on Wednesday. So they're still just trying to figure people out. But again, if you're not on the women's basketball bandwagon, you should be. You should be thinking about it. They're a lot of fun to watch. And it's going to be a good season for them. I'm really excited for them to get started.
Well, Liz, we got about a minute and a half remaining in this segment, and I want you to give me your offensive player, your defensive player, and what will be your final score in the 3 p.m. kickoff versus Arkansas and the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
So my offensive player, I'm going to go with Rakeem Boyd. I just really like the way that Rakeem is playing. If nothing else, I really just think he continues to be a steady offensive weapon for Arkansas, playing really, really well. And I think against a Mississippi State defense that isn't the kind of defense we've seen from Mississippi State in the past, I think he'll have a successful day. Defensively, I want to see Cameron Curl. Mississippi State has got a true freshman quarterback in Garrett Schrader, and I kind of want to see Cameron Curl kind of show his experience in the secondary with a freshman quarterback playing for Mississippi State. And then I can't remember what my score prediction was, but I think I said 28-17 Arkansas. I think I'm giving Chad Morris his first Power 5 win.
Awesome. Well, any Women's Wednesdays episodes that you got in the works that you can tell our viewers and listeners about coming up?
Sure. Well, soccer just came out last week, so really excited about my Women Wednesday with soccer. Of course, they won the SEC for the first time in program history last night. They're killing it. So if you want to know more about them, and I also want to give a shout out to Lance Harder and the women's cross country team winning their 7th straight SEC cross country titles. The men finished 3rd today. So I know people are really upset about football, but I promise you there's a lot of success in Arkansas athletics. Take a look around at some of these other programs that are killing it right now.
Well, let's always have you enjoy killing it on here, and I'll catch up with you in the press box tomorrow. Enjoy. Let him eat more candy. He deserves it. He deserves to enjoy his Halloween.
I was really disappointed in how many trick-or-treaters I didn't get. I have a whole bucket full of candy. I might have to bring it to the press box.
Hey, bring it on in there. I'll definitely take care of it for all of the people know me. All right, well, hey, listen, thanks for taking time out here on there, and you have a blessed one.
Anytime, Pat. Thanks.
All right. That was the KNWA and Pig Trail Nations. Alyssa Orange giving us her 411 on all things Razorback basketball, track, women's basketball, football, all good things. And even gave us an update on her little boy and the candy that he was able to consume. But we're going to step away. But call up to John Stephen Jones. We'll let you hear what he has to say. And then next up, Otis Kirk. Time to talk a little recruiting, hog football, and then you know what's coming up after that. We do it every week. Pat D and O's SEC picks of the week. That's all coming up. This is On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479.
Job was not complete.
How'd you feel like you played?
I just played to the best of my ability. We'll watch it tomorrow and I'll figure it out there.
John, when did you know that you might get some extensive minutes in this game?
We started putting in a few packages this week. Practiced those a little bit, and I was ready to go in.
Was the stage too big for you?
No, sir. I tried to do my job to the best of my ability, and my teammates helped me do that.
You hit your first pass when you went in there for that one play in the first quarter, I think it was. But how'd that make you feel, and did that help kind of with your confidence the rest of the way?
It was nice just to go out there and complete a pass, especially in Tuscaloosa. It was a lot of fun.
I know it's a lopsided score, disappointing loss, but you guys did get a touch. You did lead a touchdown drive. How'd that feel, and does that give you some confidence?
It's always nice to get in the end zone, but we didn't come out with a win, so it is what it is.
You impressed by the Alabama defense?
Yes, sir. They're a very impressive defense.
How do you guys flip the page and get ready for Mississippi State?
We just come in tomorrow, watch a film, and correct ourselves and try to be better going in next week, put our head down and get to work.
Chad said he's going to reevaluate the quarterback.
Welcome back. It's our Friday edition. It's our A edition of OTH. We do this each and every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. on KDSJ 479. And we're going to continue on with Arkansas football as they're preparing to take on tomorrow at 3 p.m. the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. And we want to talk to another good buddy that knows quite a bit about Arkansas, Hallbill.net's Otis Kirk. Wahody Coyote. Welcome to the Hill, my man.
What's going on? What's going on today, man?
Man, trying to stay warm. It's cold out there, Otis. I mean, freezing. My goodness.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm still battling a cough, so I'll try to bear with me today.
Hey, I'm telling you, the team that you're trying to bear with, and it's throughout the state, is the Arkansas football program, Otis. Talk about tomorrow's game in your opinion. I've asked Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette and Alyssa Orange of the Pig Trail Nation the same exact question. And earlier, Jake Wimberly of the Drive at 5. Who needs this game more, in your humble opinion? Is it Joe Moorhead or is it our guy, Coach Mo, Chad Morris here at Arkansas?
No, I think Arkansas needs this one because it's kind of like I said about a game here recently where Arkansas is at home this week. You know, I mean, when you're at home, you need to win, and Arkansas needs. Excuse me, Arkansas needs an SEC win. They need it badly. So this is a big game for. I think this is the. I mean, I get the season's been a disappointment, Pat, but I mean it is what it is. They're 2-6. That's not changing. But I think this is a swing game for the rest of the season. In fact, I wrote a story on Hogville this morning. I think if Arkansas wins tomorrow, and I'm saying if they win tomorrow, I think they finish 5-7. I think they only lose to LSU. If they lose tomorrow, hey, they may end 2-10.
Right.
You know, and that's why I think this is a big game for Arkansas. You know, I mean, if they finish 5-7, I know everybody's going to look back and say, "Oh man, San Jose State." Well, but like I said, all that stuff it's done, and that's in the book. That's history. So going forward, right now, if they can close with 3 or 4 wins in November, and I don't know if they can, but if they can, that's going to be huge for this program and for what Chad's trying to do here. And it starts tomorrow. I think it really starts tomorrow.
When you look at this game, I mean, the $1 million question, Otis, and it's been, it's on social media. It's almost a daily thing on local radio. And, we get a lot of the questions is the quarterback situation. In your humble opinion, is it time to go with John Stephen Jones maybe to get the start and then play KJ throughout the ball game? In your humble opinion, is that the way that this program needs to go? We tried the way with the older guys, hadn't worked out. But in your opinion, is it the youth movement where we need to go now?
Well, here's my thinking on that, Pat. I heard Coach Morris say Monday that he's going to play the guy that he thinks gives them the best chance to win.
Right.
Well, I mean, Ben Hicks has won one game, Nick's won one game. So I mean, KJ hasn't played. So how do you know? And I know he's going by practice, but man, I mean, this guy, Matt Jones, if you watched him in practice, I never looked at Houston that played 4 or 5 quarterbacks. So pretty low off against UNLV. Played every quarterback on the roster except Matt Jones.
Right.
And then Matt ended up being the best. Sometimes practice guys are, you turn on the lights, it's a different player, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's time to look at KJ. It's time to look at Johnston, regardless of who starts tomorrow. And I think he'll start Ben Hicks. But I don't think you ride Hicks from start to finish, unless if they're clicking and it's going great, but man, it is time to look at John Stephen and KJ, because the reason I've been on the whole KJ and Hudson Henry and those guys and Monte and, the other guys, the reason I've been on the bandwagon and hold them out because they had 4 games left and they only play 4 already. But if you're not going to play them now, then you should have played KJ in the Auburn and Alabama. I mean, you don't want to go at the end of the season and him not play. So my thinking was they'd use them here in the last 4 games. Yeah, that was my thinking. But if they're not going to, then I do think it was a mistake not to have used KJ and some of those guys. But I do understand Hudson's going to play. My gut tells me unless they get in there and Hicks or Stark or whoever is on a roll, I think you'll see John Stephen and KJ. I don't know if it'll be as much as the fans want, but I do think you'll see them tomorrow. I really do. Unless Arkansas, like I said, really gets on a roll with the other quarterback, and then, hey, it is what it is.
Real quick, we got to get a little recruiting update. I know it's a big weekend as Chad and the staff out there at Arkansas. We're going to use this as one of their remaining 2 big football recruiting weekends, with next week Western Kentucky being its 3rd. Who all will be coming in, and could you tell us a little bit about some of the guys?
Yeah, they've got some good players. Aaron Moore's a linebacker I really like out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Oakland High School. You got Connor O'Toole, wide receiver out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, coming in. You've got Mike Harris, cornerback safety out of Phoenix City Central, of course, a teammate of Monte Spivey. And then Brady Ward, big 6'7", 6'8" offensive lineman from Mobile, Alabama, is coming in. And then they've got a lot of unofficial visitors coming too. But this is going to be a good weekend. And that's another reason a win tomorrow will be big, Pat, is because of those recruits like that. And then they'll have some more here next weekend. But they'll have some good unofficial visitors too. I know Jaden Roberts, I think, may be coming, the big offensive lineman from North Shore. I think Tyus Martin's coming. There's some good players coming up here tomorrow, in addition to those 4 official visitors.
Well, the time has come. We do it each and every Friday. We're going to let my good buddy Demetrius get it kicked in, and he's giving me the heads up. And I think it's time to roll. You ready to go with it? Our first game, we're going to go, and we're going to pick up Vanderbilt as they take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Which way you going, Otis?
I'll go with South Carolina. They let me down. I can't pick Vanderbilt because if I pick them to win, they lose. If I pick them to lose, they win. I mean, so I'm doing Vanderbilt a favor. I'll pick South Carolina because I don't have much better luck with South Carolina either. So, but I'll go with South Carolina.
Demetrius?
I'm going to go Vanderbilt. I've been going with them all year long. Yeah, they kind of let me down, but I'm still riding with Old Mason. So I'm going to go Vanderbilt over South Carolina.
Anchor down, guys. Anchor down. He's built for the job. I'm going to go with the Vanderbilt Commodores. I just feel like there's still some uncertainty there at South Carolina, so I'll take Vanderbilt. Next up, A&M takes on University of Texas San Antonio. Otis?
Yeah, that'll be a blowout. A&M should win that one pretty A&M been a disappointment this year, but that considering where they were ranked and what was expected of them, but they're going to win this one pretty easily, I think.
D. A&M and UTSA. What you got?
All day. Too much happiness.
I'm gonna go A&M as well. I think, like I said, it's not a matter of if, it's just by how much. Next ball game we're gonna have. We're gonna take it to Ole Miss and the Auburn Tigers. Where we going, Otis?
I've only picked against Auburn one time this year. I'm gonna pick with them again, Pat. I'll pick them. They've actually been pretty good to me. The only time I let it down was against Florida, so I'll go with Auburn again.
D. Oh, you're gonna take Auburn over Ole Miss?
Oh, I'm thinking.
Look at you.
I'm ready for the LSU. And they are.
Nah.
I'm gonna go.
Auburn, Ole Miss.
I'm gonna go Auburn. Too much firepower. Too much people around me.
That's the way I'm going. I'm going Auburn as well. Next up, let's do it. We got to step it up now, guys. We got to really step it up. The world's largest cocktail party, Georgia, Florida. Otis.
Man, it's going to be a game. I'm going with Georgia.
Demetrius?
I'm going to go Florida.
I'm going Georgia. I think they still have the better team in the East. I think it's going to come down. They're really going to establish the running game. And as we know, the team that run the ball runs all the way to get that win. I think that big offensive line under Coach Pittman, they'll get it done. We'll go with the Georgia Bulldogs. And the final game, our game, the one that we will be at in Donald W. Reynolds covering 3 p.m. kickoff, SEC Network. The Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Arkansas Razorbacks. I want offensive player, defensive player, and final score. Otis?
Okay. Defensive player, I'll go with Cameron Curl. Offensive player, I'll go with Rakeem Boyd. The score, I'm going to pick Arkansas 31-28.
Good deal.
31-28.
Demetrius?
I'm gonna go on defense. I'm gonna say shout out Scooter, happy birthday. Today's birthday. I think he has a career high today tomorrow. So I'm gonna go Scooter for defensive player. Then for offensive player, no, I go John Stephen. I go with John Stephen Jones. I think they throw him out there, give him some reps. He does enough to win the game. Then we go off and ride out in the sunset.
Final score?
Score 35-28.
Arkansas? I'm going my defensive player. I'm also, going to take Scooter Harris. Like I said, and a shout out, happy birthday, Scoot. My offensive player, I'm staying with him. He's been too consistent, and he's the best at it at the tight end spot at the University of Arkansas. Cheyenne O'Grady, think he's going to be the mismatch that Mississippi State won't have an answer for, linebackers or in the back end. Too many injuries, and that'll show up in tomorrow's game. Final score, Arkansas breaks the 16-game losing streak, and they get the win in Donald W. Reynolds on homecoming Saturday. Arkansas 31, Mississippi State 17. That'll be the final score. Arkansas win the turnover battle and create a lot of pressure for the true freshmen. But that's going to wrap it up for our segment with my good guy, Otis. Want to thank you for taking time out here on the A and OTH, my man.
I'll see you tomorrow, man.
All right,
you guys, you and Demetrius tomorrow. See
all
you.
right.
Thanks.
Demetrius, any final words we want to rack up? I do. I think, Chad, this program gets their first win. Want to let everyone know tonight we will be broadcasting tonight's ball game on Red Dirt 106.1 as Demetrius and myself will be in the production of the Fayetteville Bulldogs radio broadcast as pregame starts at 6:30 with the kickoff at 7 p.m. It'll be the Fayetteville Bulldogs and the Heritage War Eagles from Blackie Bond Stadium in Rogers, Arkansas. But that's going to do it for my producer, Demetrius, myself. Want to give a thank you to all of our guests, Jake Wimberly of The Drive at 5, Scotty Borderland of Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Alyssa Orange of the Pig Trail Nation and the KNWA, and our good buddy always, Otis Kirk of Hogville.net. We're getting ready to get out of here, but we'll be back with much, much more on Monday and a lot of coverage from the ball game tomorrow. Check us out. You won't want to miss it. Until Monday, it's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Have a blessed one.
Thank you.